On Thursday, 7th of March, Biotriz held a one-day workshop on biomimetic design and theory of invention. TRIZ certified experts Dr. Nikolai Bogatrov and Dr. Olga Bogatrova hosted the event, having 3 delegates successfully resolve their challenges. Our participants, Jelle Baumgartel of Wageningen University, Professor Mark Good of Cardiff Metropolitan University and Dr. Evgeny Selensky of Trimble UK had a great time learning about bio-inspired systematic approach designed by Biotriz. Grounded on a base of TRIZ, this approach was developed by Dr. Nikolai Bogatrov and Dr. Olga Bogatrova, who have more than 50 years of joint experience in biology, permaculture and bionics. Professor Mark Good's challenge was waste food within NHS. Here is how he resolved it.
The first thing, when I came here today, I saw waste as waste. Okay, if we start with what a resource is, we've got right time, right dose, right place, right amount, right consumer and right mode. So I've gone on the other side and looked at why this waste might actually be occurring. So if we start off with wrong time, it could be that the food is being delivered too early to the patient and they don't want it. Or it could be being delivered too late, so it's actually cold and they still don't want it. It could be in the wrong dose, so it could be too much or too little. It could be completely in the wrong place, because my understanding is food is normally ordered the day before, and it might not be the same person that orders it is the one that actually eats it. So somebody might say, well, I like egg and chips, and they would eat that if they were in the hospital the next day, but they get discharged, and the person that comes in to actually eat it hates egg and chips and wouldn't eat it. So I think there needs to be some form of mechanism to make sure that the person who orders it is the person that's going to be the customer. And I think it's a communication problem. Why isn't there some form of electronic system where they can order at the beginning, let's say, I don't know, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, when they know that person's going to be in, rather than ordering the day before? Then we've got the wrong amount. And I think with older people, you might give them too much and they don't want it. Or people might not like the actual type. Then we've got the consumers, and I think this is where a lot of this can change. One, I think there should be an opt-in and opt-out process. So people who want hospital food can say, yes, I want hospital food. But people who don't want it, I think, are very likely not to eat it. But also visuals, I think, are important. So you might order egg and chips, but when it actually arrives, you don't like it because the egg's scrambled and you want the egg to be normally fried. That's what you expected, but because there wasn't a picture of it, then you didn't get what you expected. I've got wrong mode here. You might have vegetarian food delivered to a non-vegetarian or non-vegetarian food delivered to a vegetarian. Either way, I think is wrong. And I recently came across some information on dementia. And people that have got dementia tend not to see white very well. So if you put a white plate in front of them, they'll not eat it. But if you put it on a coloured plate, an orange plate or a yellow plate, then they would eat it. The big thing that I've got from this is don't see waste as waste, see it as a possible resource. Given the amount of money that is spent by the National Health on food and how much is wasted, this could save millions and millions of pounds.
Evgeny Selensky brought a challenge of tuning the parameter settings so that those fit users' requirements. Here is his journey to his discovery.
According to the TRIZ technology, we can formulate it as the problem of creating a structure that is capable of answering users' actions or capable of answering users' needs in an environment with uncertain parameters, incomplete knowledge. And sometimes the users themselves, they are not fully aware of what they need. So according to Biotriz recommendations, we actually could identify a number of principles that could actually give us guidance through the process of solution creation. And that is, I'm thinking of a questionnaire that would guide a user through a set of questions such that they help themselves to find an answer. Ideally, this kind of questionnaire should be as short as possible. It has to cover all possible scenarios. So I'm thinking of a process whereby we have a tree of various answers, and this tree can be of various depth. So it is a questionnaire of dynamically changing depths from customer to customer and dynamically changing widths. So the principles that are relevant to this particular problem are segmentation. In terms of locality, we can think of a tailored solution. Dynamics and parameter change. They can be interpreted as the change in the number of questions as the particular dialogue with the user requires. Periodic action, I think it means in my situation is that we can potentially improve the strategy of asking relevant questions at different times in the process of interaction with the system. Mediator is, it's obvious. Self-service is flexible level of detail, so basically, again, overlapping. So I think it's been a very helpful seminar.
Jelle Baumgartel's challenge was creation of sustainable urban water infrastructure. Here is his resolution.
I decided to have a look at urban water infrastructure, and then specifically at wastewater infrastructure, which is in its current state rather expensive and energy consuming, because the treatment is centralized, and therefore the wastewater needs to be transported over long distances. Infrastructure is expensive, and the treatment itself is often also quite expensive, because there is a lot of energy required to facilitate the biological degradation of the substances in the wastewater. So, what was the matter? What was the problem? There is water being used, which needs to be purified before it can be used in the household, and then it is transported to the wastewater treatment plant. So it would be nice to reduce the amount of water consumed, so that it will also reduce the energy needed to treat it. However, a wastewater treatment plant requires a minimum amount of input in a day, otherwise it cannot function, otherwise it just stops. So this is a contradiction. You need a high load, so to say, on the wastewater treatment plant, otherwise it doesn't work. And you also want a low load because it will save energy and water. So what I tried to work with this matrix, but as said, I ran into trouble with the problem definition, so I just tried some things. And I came across principle 24, intermediary, and it occurred to me that this wastewater treatment plant needs a certain amount of water. So if we make it a closed system with like a bucket of water, it has a certain amount, and we just add the stuff that we want treated in there in a concentrated form, then we would be able to consume less water because the treatment plant has all the water it needs. So the intermediary process is you have it in a concentrated form, so you use less water yourself, and then you transfer the water or the substances into the wastewater treatment plant. And then there was the issue of energy used to provide oxygen to the bacteria. Usually there are pumps used to blow air into the water, and this is the factor that makes up the highest operating cost for the whole wastewater treatment plant. We need air coming to the bacteria, oxygen, and now we do it by blowing, but what basically also would work is to have a windmill, which is in these times mostly used to generate electricity, and to have it, to use it in the old-fashioned way, as it was used, for example, in the Netherlands to make sea into land, so to pump water away, and to have the rotational energy of the windmill transferred to a rotor. This was one solution coming out of my non-professional dealing with this table, so I'm quite confident that there can be a lot of even more useful solutions out of it with some more experience and more practice. So I think it was a very fruitful day.
All delegates received awards and electronic copies of innovation-related literature, all of which was written and composed by Biotriz team. Everyone was happy to have participated and had a great time on this workshop, which took place at the University of Bath. If you are interested in participating in our next workshop, please call us on 01225 920226 or visit our website www.biotriz.com. We look forward to hear from you.